Hello. So this is my compost pile, my very crude compost pile, which is made out of plywood that was up on our walls in the garage, and it was a climbing wall, which explains all the holes inside of the compost pile. And this is the plant that started out over here. It is a squash plant, or melon plant, some kind of squash plant. And it started growing in my compost pile, and I just let it, and it grew over the side, because there's a divider here. There's actually three bins. It grew up and over the side, and now is taken over this side, which I'm not using this pile right now or that pile, so it's just fine with me. That last one over there is the one that I am currently putting table scraps in right now. But I didn't think anything would grow. I found a lot of blossoms, but I wasn't sure if anything would actually grow. But there's a little squash back there, and it looks like a winter squash. It's definitely not a summer squash, and I have no idea. It doesn't look familiar to me, so I'm not quite sure where it came from. But this is what happens when you put lots of good stuff in your compost. And there's soil in here, and there's hay and leaves and all the table scraps. And then what I do with my paper towels, I buy recycled white paper towels, and whenever there's something like left on a plate or left in a dish, like ice cream or just scraps from the plate, instead of just rinsing it down the drain, I wipe it clean with the used paper towel. Like, I'll wash my hands and I'll use the paper towel to dry them, or I'll use the paper towel to wipe crumbs off of the table or whatever. I use my paper towels, each one I use 4 or 5 times. And that's my shed right there. And my burn pit right there. It's all very homegrown. But anyways, I use those paper towels 4 or 5 times, and the last time is when I take it and I wipe the plate off, and then all that stuff goes into my compost pail, which is in front of the garage. I forgot to bring it back here to show you. And all that goes into the compost pail, which goes onto the compost pile. And then I use hay. That was my extra hay right there along the back of the garage. That's my extra hay that I have laying out to get it dry, because I let it get wet and it gets moldy on the inside of the bales when you do that. And so I had to actually break up the whole bale because it was all wet and starting to get fungus and stuff on the inside, and you really don't want that, because I bought the hay actually to put on my potatoes, and I didn't want to have nasty hay. So I broke up the whole bundle and just put pieces here and there, and the top part dries out. The bottom part, it doesn't dry out so much, and you have to keep coming back here and turning it over and exposing the wet side so that it'll dry out and stuff. But that's about it for my compost pile. These boards, there's the tea nuts in the back of the boards. The fancy compost pile, let me tell you. But this is one big wall, and those are homemade holes that we used for climbing on, instead of those expensive rocks. But I just put the bungee cord. I have a bungee cord there to hold it up. Not that it really needs it, because it's actually leaning up against this wood, and it's not even at all, but it does the job. And that's a half of a climbing wall right there. You can see the holes. We would use the holes as handholds as well. But that's what she looks like. And that's the current one. And that big hole you saw, that was an animal. The animals like to go in there and get whatever food I've left. I do not have an enclosed compost pile, as you can tell, and animals will get in there and get whatever food is salvageable. These are old plants, old potato plants. I'm not quite sure if I want to put them in my compost pile or not, so I just kind of laid them to the front, and that backside there is what I work with. That's where I put my food, and then I put soil on top. And we don't have any leaves right now. They're gone. We didn't collect them all last year, unfortunately, and so I've had to use hay in lieu of leaves. And I've even collected the whirlybirds from our maple trees. I collected all those, and I've been using those, but you have to make sure they don't sprout. Okay, well, I'm probably running out of time here, so I will continue in the next video. Bye.